Welcome to the best football show on YouTube. It's Fluent Chill, NFL edition. Anthony K of Sports Fluent, and I'm here as always with my main man, Jermaine from Chilltown Hoops. Jay, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? What's going on, man? Football.
I'm pumped. I'm there. Yeah, I love the NFL. I'm excited. I'm sad too because I know it's coming to an end. I know we're only 2 months left. Can't we play like 52 weeks of football?
We still got a lot of football left.
Can we do 52 weeks?
You're looking at it. You're looking at it from the wrong angle, Tony. We still got a lot of football left, man.
Okay, I'm excited. I like where we are. I like where we are today. I want 52 weeks of football. I like that they've stretched out, the draft, the combines, it feels like there's less off season, which probably drives other people nuts. But I love it. So we have, of course, we're going to go through and make our week 16 picks.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to recap the picks that we made in week 15. We only had 3 that we did not get right.
Okay.
So we did pretty good.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some teams that are headed in the wrong direction, why they're headed in the wrong direction, maybe some decisions. Is it injuries? We're going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you 4 candidates for MVP. 1 will surprise you. But first.
Wait a minute. Whoa. There's more than 3? I thought that there was only. You got another one, Tom?
I got a surprise one for you because you know what? Let's start with that. Let's start with the MVPs. Let's do that. All right. So you've probably heard of a guy named Tom Brady.
Pretty good.
He's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Aaron Rodgers.
He's
been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
People are trying to squeeze in Jonathan Taylor. I'll tell you why I don't necessarily think he should be in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And the new one, I think this one just popped up this week because he might be doing something that hasn't been done for a long time. In fact, I believe you and I, we were saying there was 3, and I think we came up with 2 of them. We got to look up who the third one. He might win the receiving triple crown.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Kupp. Haven't heard his name, but he's having a special year.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about who we think should win or who they'll pick.
Mm-hmm.
But should he be in that conversation because of the season and potential season that he's having?
Well, initially, I didn't think so because I'm thinking about Cooper Kupp in his entirety, and I was looking at it the wrong way. I mean, I think he's been in the league 5 years, and it's only his second 1,000-yard season. And I'm thinking to myself, has there been a pattern of him being great? But that really doesn't matter because I'm looking at the team that he's on, which is really good. And at the present moment, he's leading yards, touchdowns, and receptions. And we're talking about a Rams team that could possibly be there at the end, and he's the reason. He's one of the best route runners in the game. He's one of the best deep ball catchers in the game. You and I have had this conversation in the past, Home, where every time a quarterback comes to the line of scrimmage, there's the guy that they're looking for. When Brady comes to the line of scrimmage, where's 87? Okay, he's over there. When Joe Montana came to the line of scrimmage, where's 80? When Matt Stafford comes to the line of scrimmage, where's 10? Okay, there he is. That's his guy. And they've developed a really good chemistry. And I like what he's doing. I don't know that he's going to win the league MVP, but it's interesting you bring that up, man, because he is definitely somebody that we have to talk about being in the conversation. Absolutely.
I compare it to this, and I get it. It's a stretch, but we've talked about Russell Westbrook, and when he averaged a triple double for the season, he won MVP because it hadn't been done in so long. Now it hasn't been that long since the Triple Crown. I think Steve Smith Sr. was the last one to do it. You guys can correct me when you're hitting the subscribe and follow button. You can go into the comments and correct me if I'm wrong. But like I said, I think there was 3 to do it. I think Steve Sr. was the last one. There might have been someone in between. The other thing is interesting. Matthew Stafford was the last quarterback. Megatron had a pretty big season there in Detroit. Matthew Stafford was also his quarterback there. So, I'm not high on Matthew Stafford, as you know, but hey, maybe when he gets a chemistry with the receiver, it pays dividend. Yeah. So that's the reason I brought his name up. I don't think he gets it. Has a wide receiver ever won MVP?
Yeah,
I don't.
Jerry Rice won it.
How long ago was that?
You're talking about 30 years ago, but yeah.
Right? Running backs are, a little more than wide receivers, but also very rare. It's typically a quarterback award. Let's be honest. They say it's the most important position. Listen, your hands on the ball every play. I get it. So but I wanted, to throw Cooper Kupp's name out there because I think the season that he's having is actually even flying under the radar. We're not even talking about it.
We're not talking about Cooper Kupp nearly as much. And it's not because where he plays, because he plays in Los Angeles.
He plays in LA. Yeah.
Right. He plays in Los Angeles. So it's not like, well, if he plays in Green Bay or he plays in Detroit, that's why we're not talking about him. We're not talking about him because the Rams, I think they're not as much, he's not as much flash as everybody would expect him. Like, he's not Odell Beckham Jr. He's not
he's not a diva receiver.
Yeah, he's not one of those guys that you constantly are talking about. Meanwhile, he's kind of like Tim Duncan. That's kind of who he is.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. Because listen, when I was receiver, trust me, you knew every catch I made. Every catch I made, you knew I made a catch.
Right.
But yeah, he goes about his business. Like, I see him scores a touchdown, kind of gives it a kind of regular, kind of boring kind of spike, or gives the ball to the referee, and walks away. I guess he's probably the old school guys would be like, does it the right way.
Right.
But yeah, Tim Duncan is a great comparison. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to throw his name out there. It had been thrown to me, and I thought, yeah, you know what? Fine. So Cooper Kupp, I think, deserves to be in the conversation. I highly doubt that he's going to win it. Right? I think we agree there. Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is having a season, and he's the one keeping the Colts in this, right? Has he done enough? And let me tell you my reason why I say no. And then I'll see. I don't know what you're going to say, if you're going to say yes or no. I say no. And here's the only reason why I say no. And it might be very petty. He's not even the best running back in his division. And the only reason we're talking about Taylor is because Derrick Henry got hurt. Now, hey, maybe that's the circumstance that you got to live with, but that's what makes it hard for me, is knowing that the only reason we're having this conversation is because someone else isn't playing.
Well, should I be penalized for that though, Tone?
I know. That's why I struggle with myself on that. But
just because you're not playing, in fact, that's why you're not recognizing me, because of this dude that was in the division. That doesn't take away from the fact that he's awesome. Tone, we're talking about a guy who the Colts are 6-0 when he runs for over 100 yards. 6-0, undefeated. When he doesn't run for 100 yards, this is how many wins they have: 0. So he's a guy who we haven't talked about him because they basically got the second coming of Eric Dickerson in the division right now. So we haven't really seen much. We haven't really been paying much attention to Jonathan Taylor. Meanwhile, he leads the league in rushing touchdowns. He leads the league in rushing, and he leads the league in yards after scrimmage. So we talking about,
pretty good.
I think he's a little bit better than that, Tone. I think he's just a little bit better than pretty good. And you would think that with his history that we could have seen this coming, because we talking about a guy, Tone, who in the Big Ten led the league. He was tied for the league, tied for the lead in the Big Ten in rushing, led the Big Ten in touchdowns, and what else? He led the Big Ten in yards at scrimmage.
You've said that before, but how many guys do that in college and then do nothing in the NFL.
But I shouldn't have been surprised at this guy. He's the catalyst in what they're doing. He makes Carson Wentz's job so much simpler.
Oh yeah.
He just makes his job so much simpler. When you put Carson Wentz in a position where he doesn't have to do that much, he's awesome. But when you put him in a position where he has to do a lot, he's prone to mistakes and he's prone to kill his team. Jonathan Taylor takes a lot of pressure off of him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won it, Tom. I would not.
Really?
I would not be surprised if he won it. Mm-mm.
So you think the front runners, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, you think he's done more? He's more deserving than those two guys?
Okay, so when I look at what Tom Brady has done, Tom Brady started the season. He blew everybody's skirt up. Everybody was like, Tom Brady is the best in it. And then he kind of tapered off. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He had the toe injury, and he was a little up and down. Jonathan Taylor been like this the entire season. And the reason why we haven't paid attention to him is, once again, because there's an all-purpose back in the league who probably would have won the league MVP had he been healthy. So He's been the most consistent of all three of the three guys. He's been the most consistent.
If Brady finishes the season strong, right? We know that he's coming off his first home shutout. Think about this. His first home shutout in his career.
Ever.
It is. Now he's had 3 shutouts, 2 were on the road, but they were in 03 and 06. Like, I mean, it's been a whole career since he's been shut out. Maybe 2 careers, depending on the player. And this is his first. So he's coming off that. So I think people are the shine's a little,
right.
It's come off a little bit. But if he finishes the season off strong, which I think he will, although it's going to be tougher without Godwin now. Evans is a little banged up too, but Antonio Brown, they're bringing in the Steelers. Antonio Brown's coming back. Le'Veon Bell's going to be in town. And I think if he finishes strong, do you agree with me when I say this? If he finishes strong, people are going to look at it and vote for him because, one, he's had a great season. Like, he's deserving, don't get me wrong. But also, in the back of their minds, wow, how is he doing it at this age? I think that plays, like, it shouldn't play a role. You should just look at the performance. But I think people are going to say, like, if someone's really, really young, they almost say, like, okay, they almost don't vote for young players because they're like, they're gonna be great. They'll have another chance down the road. Because sometimes these MVPs do like lifetime achievement awards too, which I don't like. Like you said, I don't think of Cooper Kupp because I think of holistically. But if I just look at this season, oh, yeah, you're right. We should talk about it. So I think they're going to look at Brady and say, for all that he's done and for how old he is to be doing this, wow, that is special. And I think he gets a couple of extra ticks.
But with that being said, Tom, is it special? And the reason why I'm asking, is it special, is because look at what the Patriots are doing. Is anybody really surprised at what Bill Belichick has done? Because here they are right back at the top of the AFC East, and they're rolling again. Brady, even though he's 44 years old, when you watch him play, I mean, does he look 44? Does he look like he's slowing down? He looks like he's
he had a first down run. He looked better than he did at his 40.
So he doesn't really look much different than he did 10 years ago. I'm watching him and I'm thinking, this looks like the dude in 2008 standing in the pocket. So it's almost a curse with him where it's like it's expected as opposed to him falling off and there being some sort of dip in his production. There hasn't really been that. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's going to throw for over 4,000 yards this year, over 35 touchdowns, which is customary for him. And that may be a curse because that's expected as opposed to him going the other way.
Do you think that's the same thing that's going to hurt Aaron Rodgers then? This is just expected for him?
That's the expectation for Aaron Rodgers when I think about it. And Aaron Rodgers is another guy. The difference with Aaron Rodgers is that Green Bay, if Aaron Rodgers was playing like he was playing and Green Bay wasn't winning, I don't think that he would be involved in this talk. But the fact that they're constantly winning, that puts him in the conversation constantly. So,
all right. If you had to make your pick, I'm gonna put you on the spot now. As of today, who are you picking for MVP?
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Jonathan Taylor is the league MVP.
I'm going with the guy who gives me hope, Tom Brady.
Of course. Absolutely.
Gives me hope. We're close in age. I like him. All right. So those are the guys that are headed in the right direction. Now some teams that are headed in the wrong direction. And you had mentioned Dallas's offense. So we could pick and choose anyone. Tennessee headed in, I think, in the wrong direction. Arizona coming off a tough loss to the Rams. We all thought we're going to go into Detroit and just get it right. And they lost. Now, let me say this about Detroit. And I said this before. When they were 0-10-1, I said this. Listen, 7 of their games, 7 of those 10 losses were within 1 possession. So it's not crazy to think, hey, they're not that terrible of a team. If they can, if they get the ball to bounce their way, once or twice in a game, they could be winning these games. I just didn't think it'd be against Arizona.
Right.
So Arizona's now 2 losses in a row. They've lost their top receiver. Are we worried about them in the playoffs? And then the last one, and let's save this one for the end because I really want to talk about the decisions that I really disagree with, and I'll tell you why. Baltimore's lost 3 in a row.
Yes, they have.
And that was, my pick to win the AFC North, and now I don't know. So let's start at the top. So Dallas, you had mentioned Dallas's offense. What's going on in Dallas?
It's the same thing that's been going on with them, Tone. They don't run the ball nearly as much as they should. Too much of the onus on the offense is on Dak throwing the football. As the quarterback, you got to throw the football. I can appreciate that. But that offense with Kellen Moore looks like it's stale with him throwing the football. And because it's very predictable. They know exactly what they're doing with Dak throwing the football. He just doesn't look as sharp as he did, in weeks past. That offense doesn't look as sharp. It looks to me primarily like that Cowboy defense is winning them a lot of their games, and it's not their offense. If we could get, I've been saying this to you, Tone, before the season, not just before the season started, even when the season started. If we could get Zeke more involved in the offense, I'm not buying this whole Pollard thing, because you look really good when you're a backup. When you are the workhorse back, it's something completely different. The idea that Zeke looks washed, I'd like to just see one game where Zeke carried the ball 25 times, and let's see what we get. I would love to see that.
I'm with you on that. And it's listen, basketball, football, it's a lot easier to put up numbers or to score when you're going up against the bench.
Absolutely.
It's different when you're going against some starters. I hear you.
Yeah.
Or when someone, in this particular case, he's going against starters, but in this particular case, when they're not game planning to stop you.
Right.
And you can come in and kind of do something different. So I hear you. Tennessee. Now listen, I got to tell you, Tennessee's a tough one for me. I know they're, we'd say they're headed in the wrong direction now, but when Derrick Henry went out, I thought they were done. So they've actually done a good job of keeping afloat. But why do you think they're, obviously, other than Derrick Henry, how do you think can they turn it around? Do you think they're headed in the wrong direction right now?
There's one problem and one problem only. Ryan Tannehill. I think 4 of the last 6 games, he's thrown 2 interceptions, and his quarterback rating has dipped tremendously. Julio Jones has been completely as a ghost. I don't know.
Did you expect? I'm sorry. Did you expect anything from Julio? Really?
To be honest with you, I did, Tone. I didn't expect him to be elite, but I did expect him to be solid.
How many times in the history of the NFL has an older wide receiver coming off an injury gone to another team and done well?
Well, let's see.
Not very often. Maybe. I know you're going to come up with a name. You always come up with someone.
Well, T.O. was in Buffalo. I think he made the All-Pro team in Buffalo, but even still.
I think T.O. could come in today and put up numbers. So I think he might be the exception to the rule,
he's
right?
The exception. So I did, Tone. I didn't expect Julio to have a Pro Bowl season. I didn't expect him to have an All-Pro season. I did expect him to be solid, though. And I haven't gotten anything out of him. Their tight ends, I haven't gotten much out of that offense. That defense for Tennessee, and by the way, their defense is going the other way as well. I expected them to just fall off a cliff after they lost Derrick Henry. The fact that they've held it together for as long as they've held it together is pretty surprising. But the one catalyst is definitely Ryan Tannehill.
All right, well let's get to the team that I want to talk about, because I'm angry. I'm angry at Baltimore. I'm angry at Coach Harbaugh. Especially because I picked them to win the AFC North, and they gave up at least 1, possibly 2 wins because he wanted to go for 2. And listen, I guess I'm not saying in retrospect, because they didn't get the 2-point conversion, it was a mistake. No, I was screaming at the time, kick the field goal.
Take the points.
And my thing is this. From a psychology standpoint, okay, you guys know I minored in psychology. I wasn't very good, but I still know a little bit. When you say go for 2 in those situations, you're basically saying to your defense and special teams, I don't trust you, and I know I need to win the game right now, or else I'm not going to win the game later. If you get it, everyone applauds and say, great gutsy call. Look at the cojones on that coach. Good job. But the defense and special teams subconsciously still says he didn't have faith in us. He had more faith in the offense than he did in us. If you miss it, like they did, don't get the 2-point conversion when I say miss it. Well, now the confidence of the offense isn't as great either. Like when you fail at something, it's human nature. Your confidence goes down a bit. So now you've told defense and special teams, I don't necessarily trust you. I'm going to go with the offense. Now the offense fails, and now the offense feels like, oh man, we let the team down. Now so even if you get it, you still have people who are upset. If you don't get it, now everyone's comes down a notch. Now it sets him up for the second time. Well, he can't then tell his defense, because what I would have told my defense the first time is, listen, I know that we're going up against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Mm-hmm. We're going to kick the field goal. We trust you. You're the best defense in the league, whether that's true or not. This is what you say. You're the best defense in the league. All we need you to do is get one stop. And then guess what? We have the best kicker in the game, and he's going to win it for us. And now the team rallies together. He didn't do it the first time, so now you can't do it the second time. You almost force yourself into now going for it with your backup quarterback, right? And everyone's
been really good, by the way.
He absolutely, he's been really good. And people will argue with me and say, well, he's trying to give him confidence and say, hey, I believe in you. It doesn't matter. You're still sending that same message. I don't believe my defense. I don't believe in my special teams. We need to win it now. And I think that's wrong because guess what? How is Baltimore going to win? If they're going to win a Super Bowl, even with Lamar Jackson, what are they going to need to win in the playoffs?
Quarterback play and quarterback play and special teams
and defense
defense.
I know it's been a few years, but when Baltimore wins Super Bowls or won a Super Bowl, what do they win it on?
On their defense.
On their defense.
That's who they were.
Right? Like even when we say quarterback play, let's be honest. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball, but let's be honest. His biggest strength is the fact that he can run the ball at any time. So it's really their running attack I include Lamar in that running attack. So it's running the ball and defense. That's how you win. Why would you not do that? Why would you, when you have the game on the line? So that's what really bothers me is that I think he's done the team. I get it. He wanted to go for it. And if he gets it, we're all seeing. I'm still saying if they get it, wrong call.
Well, let me ask you this, Tone. Why are you asking your players, should we go for it? I don't work in that department. I'm a player. I don't work. That's a management issue. He comes to the sideline. Should we go for it? What do you guys want to do? Okay, I can appreciate being diplomatic in certain areas.
There was the one with Lamar Jackson, which was a different scenario.
He did the same thing on Sunday. He did the same thing on Sunday at the end of the game. What do you guys think? Okay, we think that you should make this decision. You are the coach.
Yeah.
You work in management. I'm a player. Now, with that being said, it is one of those situations where if this works, I'm a genius. If it doesn't, I'm an idiot. There's just like you know, let's make sure we clear, Tone. There's nothing wrong with punting the football. There's nothing wrong with taking the points either. All right? Nothing wrong.
Just look how many games. Not the Chargers. If the Chargers kick field goals, they beat the Chiefs.
Nothing wrong with taking.
And I get it. You think, well, hey, I got to score touchdowns to beat the Chiefs. I'm sorry, this ain't 2019. No. This is a different Chiefs team. You can beat them with field goals. Yes, you kick those field goals, you win.
Absolutely.
Same with Baltimore. I think you take the points and I think you have a defense. You have your kicker win a game with a 66-yard field goal. I trust Justin Tucker. If you
don't trust Justin Tucker, I don't know who you can trust if you don't trust him. So that has got me upset. Yeah. So other than getting Lamar Jackson back, is there? Just so you know, Cleveland is only a game in the first place.
I know. Trust me. That's why I'm so upset.
I just want to put that on your mind.
Just for everybody that doesn't know, I picked Baltimore at the beginning of the season, AFC North champs. Jay picked Cleveland. So that's part of the anger. Trust me, that is part of the anger. So let's go. So last week. So speaking of last week's games, I just touched on the Kansas City and the Chargers. We both actually picked the Chargers.
Yes, we did.
So we got Kansas City wrong. I think the Chargers played the right game plan. They just didn't kick their field goals, right?
I'm just not. Tone, this going for two things. It sounds like you got sucked into the fandom where just go for it instead of being a coach and making the right decisions and taking the points. There's no reason why, if we're in the red zone and it's a 4th and 3 and we're in a 17, we don't take the points. Take the points, trust your defense, and let's keep it moving. But instead, 4th and 4, let's go for it. See if we can get the first down. 4th and 2, instead of taking the points, it's a momentum swing. It's a huge momentum swing because you put Kansas City in a hole where now they have to score on the next play, as opposed to you get them the ball. You get the ball at 4th and 2, and you get stopped. Now you put your defense in a completely different situation. So I think that these coaches get stuck. They get sucked into a fandom mentality where let's just go for it. Let's just go for it instead of being smart. Take the points. There's nothing wrong with taking the points. I don't mind going for it on fourth down, Tone, but
certain times, yeah, of course. Here's the thing. For 40 years plus that I've been watching football, can't believe I just said that out loud.
Yes, you did.
I've always been told offense, defense, and special teams. 3 equal parts. No, it's not. No, it's not. You told by going for 2, you're telling me it's offense and then everything else. And that's the problem. Listen, back in the day, used to play a little game. Most of you will know, called Madden. And I used to want to fight people who would not punt. They would go for it on every fourth down, right? They will go for 2-point conversions all the time. No, and I'd be like, that's not how you play football. Well, guess what? Now we're playing Madden for real because that's what we've become. That's what we've become. We're going for it on 4th and 12. It's 4th and goal from the 20, and we're going for the touchdown instead of kicking the field. Like, I don't understand. Like, we're playing Madden, and it's not the way you're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun to watch, but that's not the way you win. And at the end of the day, I want the win.
Yeah, yo. And when I look at that Chargers team, they were doing everything in terms of moving the football.
Should have won that game.
They were absolutely doing everything they could to move the football. I mean, fumbling on the goal line, I can appreciate that. That was definitely, instead of just taking the point, that was one where I'm looking at the TV going, I understand that you're on the 1-yard line, you should be able to punch it in, but it's the third quarter. Take the points. Take the points, man.
Do you know the only thing I get, when they say, well, you got to score a touchdown. You know the only thing worse than 3 points?
0 points.
0 points. Yeah, 0 points.
Yeah.
0. Especially a tight game. Like I said, it's not the Chiefs of old. Like, it's not that you shouldn't be worried about Mahomes and the Chiefs offense, but they're not doing the things that they've done in the past. So, let's not give them the play last year's team or the team before. All right. The other one we both got wrong. I think the world got wrong, right? Unless you live in Detroit, I think everybody had the cards. We've already kind of touched on. Well, let's touch on it. Do you think? I think Detroit's a better team than people give them credit for. They were in a lot of games, but I think Arizona were they looking after losing to the Rams? Do you think they were looking past the Lions, thinking it'd be an easy win?
Can we be honest? Right? They got punched in the face.
Yeah,
they got punched right in the face. That Detroit team came because I honestly think that they thought they were just going to walk in there and beat Detroit and walk right out. And that Detroit team punched them in their face. They shoved the ball down their throat. They got whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. My man, Craig Reynolds, got called up from the practice squad. He's starting running back, 26 carries for over 100 yards. They punched Arizona in the face. Not just humbled them, Tony. It's not necessarily humbling them more than showing the world that and showing Arizona, maybe we're not as good as we think we are. We got some problems here, and we need to fix these problems because, Tony, the playoff starts in 3 weeks?
Yeah, they got 3 weeks left.
Playoffs start in 3 weeks. So with that being said, I'm looking at this Arizona team. When I think about Kyle Murray, when I think about what he's done, a lot of it, and you look at the numbers and go, he threw for 394 yards. A lot of that stuff was empty. A lot of that stuff it was at the end of the game, them trying to get back in the game. Right. He just didn't look like he was on the same page with AJ Green. I think he should have went to Zach Ertz more than he did.
I'm really surprised. When Hopkins went down, I said Arizona's going to have to adjust their offense because now they don't have Hopkins. Yeah, they're not going to have that threat. They're going to probably have to use Zach Ertz more. That's the exact name I said.
Yep. I think he should have went to Zach Ertz more. And it's interesting you mentioned that too, Tone, because if I double back, this is the exact reason why Baltimore was rolling and you and me had this conversation right in the middle of the season. You and me had this conversation. How Lamar Jackson, they were implementing Andrews more in the offense.
Yep.
They were implementing him more in the offense. He's gonna have over 1,000 yards for the season. So I thought that Kyler Murray would start going to Zach Ertz more because Zach Ertz is still viable, but he just didn't.
I'm seeing Murray scramble a lot too. So there's clearly some holes on that offensive line, or they've got to come up with. Listen, that's what your job is as a head coach and an offensive coordinator. Yep. There's got to be some quicker, shorter passes, right? James Conner's had a nice season. I know he's a little banged up, but use James Conner, use Zach Ertz, use those guys. Like I'm surprised that they didn't adjust to Detroit, but I think, like I said, I think they were looking past them, which was a mistake because now we're going to talk about it. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier for the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
The other game, look, we both thought that the Jags were going to step up and just like rally around. We got rid of, the big bad wolf is gone, and Houston came in, punched them in the face. Houston looked actually pretty good. So there looks like there's still some issues in Jacksonville. I'm not going to talk too much about a Houston Jaguars game. No offense. But because I want to get to this one, New Orleans. Sometimes a team, neither one of us picked New Orleans, but sometimes a team just has your number. They just have your number. New Orleans went in and shut out the Tampa Bay Bucks.
That's a little deceiving, Tom, because in Tom Brady,
that defense that you said is horrible.
Yeah, it is.
I told you it was pretty good. I look good. I look good this week.
Here's the thing. Now, you would look good if Tom Brady lost his best wide receiver, and he lost his third best wide receiver, and he lost his best running back, and this is what he's left with. So he's got to figure out. There's a reason why there's a reason why he didn't score any points. Well, because all my offensive weapons are gone, and I got 4 guys covering Gronk. So there's a reason why my offense isn't rolling like it normally would. Now, I will say this though, Tone. I think that when I look at Tom Brady and I look at what New Orleans has done over the past 5 games, I mean, he's lost 4 of the last 5 games against them. I think he's Tom Brady for his career. He's got almost 100 QBR. I think he's got a 99, 75 against New Orleans for his career.
Got his number.
He's not
got his number. They got his number.
I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah, that's the third shutout of his career. You know who was never shut out?
Ever shut out? Joe Montana was never shut out.
He wasn't on the list that I pulled up, so it might have been in the last recently. But it's 2 names just to poke, I think, at Tom Brady a little bit: Drew Brees and Peyton Manning.
I was just going to say Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has ever shut out neither. So yeah,
yeah. So all right, so we both got that one wrong. So let's get to this week. So we're kicking it off Thursday night. We think just hearing rumblings that COVID might push this game to, but as of right now, it's still on Thursday. So we got 49ers, Titans.
49ers come in this game, winning 4 of their last 5 games on the road, rolling. Deebo Samuels looks healthy. Jimmy G looks like he's in sync with George Kittle. That Tennessee team looks like they're going the other way, not just offensively, but defensively too. They just look like they're going the other way. And I'm rolling with my Niners. I think we beat. I don't think we smoked these dudes. I think we beat these dudes in a dogfight.
I say this term and I hear this term and I always cringe a little bit when I say it or when I hear it, because obviously that's not a team you want to play in the playoffs.
Right.
But like when I say that about the Niners, like I'm at the point where if I'm a team, I want to see where they're finishing. And I'm like, I just want to finish away from them. I don't want to play them in the first round of the playoffs, because if their defense is healthy, if Deebo is healthy, right, and Kittle's healthy, that's a team that can steamroll you. Like they can beat you in playoff football. And that makes me nervous. If I was, I'd be like, I'd rather play Arizona. Let's be honest, I'd rather play Arizona than the 49ers. Just that's where I am. So of course I'm picking the 49ers as well. The Cleveland Browns, your Browns. See, I'm getting some help. I'm getting some help with keeping them out of the AFC North Championship because they're playing the Packers this week on Saturday. Are you rolling with Cleveland?
No, I'm not rolling with Cleveland. Even this week, even looking at Cleveland's pass rush, I love Myles Garrett, man, and I love what they've been doing with that defense. I mean, they've been just really good defensively, but Aaron Rodgers in that offense, man, they just look like they look like they just rolling. And I'm gonna go with Green Bay this week.
Listen, I've said this. Green Bay is the class of the NFC. They're gonna go all the way to the NFC Championship before they lose, and they and I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to stick with them this week as well. I would talk about the Cardinals not getting easier. Short week. They got the Colts on Saturday.
I think
can they stop Taylor?
I think Indianapolis is rolling right now, man, and I think that they handle Arizona. Yes, sir, I do. I think that they absolutely handle Arizona.
So 3 in a row. Three in a row for the Cards.
I remember I remember Indianapolis coming out to the Bay, and I remember Jonathan Taylor running all over my 49ers in the rain. He ran for over 100 yards in the rain. So now they got to go in the Dome. I think that they handle Arizona.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's 3 in a row. If this happens, that the Cards have lost. Yeah, I love it. Late season.
Put my Niners a game out of first place, boy. Let's go. Oh,
I love late season divisional games, and the Ravens got spanked in Baltimore by Cincinnati. Now they get to go into Cincinnati. Do they get their revenge?
Well, it depends on if Lamar Jackson is ready to roll. If he's not ready to roll, I don't think that they handled him. If he is ready to roll, I'm still not sure if they handled him, but I like what Cincinnati's been doing. You know how I feel about Cincinnati. I think they're a playoff team, and 4 in a row, Tone. 4 in a row. Indianapolis, Baltimore. 4 in a row for Baltimore.
4 losses in a row for Baltimore. I'm with you. I really like what Cincinnati has done, and like I said, I think those decisions are gonna the confidence in coach, even if it's just a little ding in that armor, it's there. And so I'm with you with Cincinnati. All right, this one I know you know who I'm picking, but the monsters of the Midway, Chicago Bears, will travel up to Seattle. That used to be just an L. That's just an L. It's not so much an L anymore. To face the Seahawks. If the Bears win, just so we're clear on where the world has turned, if the Bears win this game, both the Bears and Seahawks 5-10. If I told you at the beginning of the season, after 15 games, the Bears and the Seahawks will have the same record, would you have thought the Bears had a phenomenal season and won a bunch, or that the Seahawks had a terrible season and only had 5 wins?
I got a question for you, Tone. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I would have thought I definitely would have thought the latter, definitely more than the former. But with that being said, if I'm the Seahawks, and I call you up and I ask you, Tone, how about you hand over the rook and give me 3 ones, and I'll give you Russell Wilson.
Hold on now. Wait a minute.
I gotta let my man collect himself.
I want to clarify the offer here, because listen, I can't do a worse job than Ryan Pace. So Seattle calls up Chicago, says,
I'm the general manager of the
and I'm the general manager, and I'm the general manager of my Bears.
How about you hand over the rook and give me 3 ones, and I'll give you.
So you want Fields and 3 ones?
Yeah.
I probably want to negotiate that deal a little bit. Because we've been giving up a lot of draft capital for a lot of bet. Like, we gave up a lot to your 49ers to move up 1 spot to take Mitch Trubisky that was not going to get stolen away. We made a good deal with the Giants, but we gave up next year's first to get Justin Fields. How old is Russell Wilson?
31, 32. And you see how the game is today too, Tone. So let's not worry about age, because Russell Wilson probably got about another 6 more years. I don't think he's washed. I think that the issue in Seattle is, I think he needs to change the scenery. I think that team is as good as it's going to be, and I think it's time to start over. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, last season when he flirted with that, wanting to put Chicago on his list, I would have jumped at Russell Wilson. 3 ones is honestly, it's not the trade. It's the 3 ones that scares me. I think if you made it 2 ones, is my team ready? This is what I got to ask myself. Is my team ready? Like, are the Bears a quarterback away? Are the Bears a quarterback away from being a playoff / Super Bowl contending team? So now I do my evaluation. I say, okay, next season, all my defensive players are set to come back and healthy, right? Because Mac is hurt, but Roquan, Mac, all those guys should be back next season. Obviously, I got to help myself get some help on the defensive back. I've got two really good running backs in Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. Allen Robinson, for all intents and purposes, is gone, but Darnell Mooney's looking pretty good. Probably got to look at another wide receiver. But I got Cole Kmet.
You think Robinson's gone? You think he's out?
I think Robinson's gone. Yeah, they're not going to tag him, and they're not going to pay him. So I think Robinson's gone, which is too bad. Which is too bad, because, or maybe I say, hey, Allen, I got you your first quality quarterback in your life. Because if you go back and look since high school, Allen Robinson has had the worst. The fact that he's been so good, he's had the worst quarterbacks since high school, right through to the pros.
Right.
So, hey, I'm going to bring in Russell Wilson. Will you stay? If he says yes, I make that deal. I make that deal because I still don't know. I don't know. I think I know, but I don't know who Justin Fields is going to be. This season hasn't given me a clue. Like, he's shown some brilliance. He's shown some horrible decision making. He's shown, he fumbles the ball. He throws interceptions. I get it. He's a rookie. He's gonna. Historically, the Ohio State University hasn't produced quarterbacks in the NFL. They've been great in college. They come to the. So if I could trade him away for a 31-year-old in his prime, I guess, Russell Wilson, that is a known commodity, and it means I keep some of those other pieces. Like, if I can have Allen Robinson and Mooney on my team with Russell Wilson and Cole Kmet, I'm feeling pretty good. So yeah, I think if you knock that down to 2, let's do it.
Okay.
Do we need to call up the McCaskies, or does that?
That's what it sounds like. Sound like we need to get with them, Tom.
All right, I'll give him a shout. So I'm picking the Bears. Even before that trade, I'm picking the Bears because I always have to pick the Bears. Are you with me again, or are you going with Seattle?
I'm going with Seattle.
Going with Seattle?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Seattle.
Be surprised. We didn't play that terrible. We didn't play that terrible against the Vikings.
No, you didn't.
We didn't play that terrible. Well, no, I should say that. Our offense was terrible. Let's be honest. No, I shouldn't say we didn't play that terrible. We did play terrible, but we kept it close, I think is what I wanted to say. All right. The Lions, 2-11-1. Yeah. We were talking about 0-17 like 3 weeks ago. Against the Falcons, who I still don't know what to make of the Falcons. I don't know who they are. Other than Cordell Patterson is like Slash. He's just like, no one could figure out what to do with him, and now looks like he could do everything.
Okay. Kyle Pitts just made the Pro Bowl.
Do you think he deserved to make the Pro Bowl?
No, I don't.
Me neither.
I can't say with 100% certainty that he did. And I had him picked, Tone, before the season started, as you know. I think he was the offensive rookie of the year. I had him picked to do that. But I look at his production. I like the chemistry that he's got with Matt Ryan. And I think he's at some point, I think he's going to be an all-pro. I do believe that. I'm not sure if he should have been a Pro Bowler this season. I don't know if he had a Pro Bowl season. But I'm a big Kyle Pitts fan. I think they bounce back this week, especially after the pounding that they took against the 49ers last week. I think they bounce back against Detroit this week.
I'm with you. I was hesitant, but I think Detroit, big win against the Cards. Now they go on the road. Like that's kind of been the Lions' season, right? Like, they had a terrible loss the week before. They come in, they beat the Cards. So it's going to be, I think that's just where that team is right now. The Rams against the Vikings. I'm going to tell you, I think the Vikings are the worst good team in the NFL. They are. I don't even know what. Like, I don't even.
You're the best looking ugly chick.
Yeah, like it's just. I think they get handled by the Rams. I think the Rams are going to now start to roll and get ready for the playoffs. So I'm gonna make my pick first and say I'm gonna take the Rams.
I'm gonna take the Rams too, and I think about what Minnesota has done, and I think about how they fared against the NFC West. They lost to the Niners. Arizona beat them, so there's no reason for me to think that with the offense that they've been running, and it's Kirk Cousins too. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I don't know if the Rams smoked them, but I think that they handled them. Yes.
AFC East on the line. Bills, Patriots. The last time we saw these two, the Patriots put on a clinic on how to run the ball and control a game. They put on a clinic.
Yeah, they did.
Do they now host do the Bills now go to New England and give them a taste of their own medicine, or do the Patriots win another one?
I think that they win it again, Tone. If I don't know if they're going to shove the ball down Buffalo's throat like they did before, but I do think it's going to be a run heavy game. I do think it's going to be a run heavy game, and I do think that Mac Jones, for what he had done last week against Indianapolis, I think he's bouncing back this week, and I think he's going to be a lot sharper. No question about it. Because I don't think this is going to be an issue with weather, like it was. I don't think it's going to be an issue with weather. So I think that they handle Buffalo again, and I think they lock up the AFC East.
Do you remember what I said before when we were picking the Colts Patriots game? I don't know if you remember that. I said this is the type of game that Bill Belichick lets his team lose, like to send a message to them.
You did say that, yes,
right?
This is what could happen if you relax.
This is what happens if you relax.
Yeah, you did.
And I think the Colts loss. I think you're actually seeing Mac Jones throw the ball, like obviously more than they did the last time because he only threw the ball 3 times.
Right.
I think you're going to see Mac Jones throw the ball, and I think you're going to see a very crisp Patriots team and kind of show everybody in the AFC, hey, last week was the exception. We're ready. So I've got the Patriots as well. The game of the week. I think this is the one. I don't know. I'm surprised it's still 1:00. I don't know why they didn't flex it to the 7. The Jaguars versus the Jets.
Huge one. Oh my goodness.
A lot of implications here. Like the first overall pick.
I believe they call this game the toilet bowl.
The toilet bowl. Yeah, so who's going to get out the brush and clean it? Jags or Jets? Who you got?
Jets. Even though now the Jets coach, who I got a little bit of a soft spot for him because he was defensive coordinator for the 49ers.
Okay.
Coach Saleh.
Yeah, he got COVID, right?
Yeah, he got COVID. So I think he's going to be coaching from a remote area. But I think that the Jets handle these dudes. I do.
What the Jags, of course, the Jags always do the opposite of what you think. But what the Jags showed me last week was they've given up on this season. And even though they got rid of the coach, who was, I thought, the problem, there's a lot of issues there. I want to take this opportunity to say we've had a lot of discussions off of this about who should be the next head coach. I want your take on this. I strongly believe they should hire Byron Leftwich, a young offensive-minded coach, a former quarterback, a former Jag that had success with the Jags. I actually think they should even, in some capacity, bring in Fred Taylor, who's another successful, Jacksonville resident who's a big fan of the Jags. And I really think they need to change the culture of that team. And I think Leftwich people are going to say, oh, he wasn't a great quarterback. He was a good quarterback, but let's be honest, you don't need to be a great player to be a great coach. So I think he has the type, learning under Bruce Arians, learning now probably the last couple of seasons from Tom Brady, some things in terms of work ethic, mechanics, those types of things. I think he's the right guy to help Trevor Lawrence and the Jags kind of get past this Urban Meyer era. So I'm a big believer in that. There's a lot of other good candidates too, but I feel that fit and that kind of Jacksonville proud kind of moment where
I can get with that.
People, pardon my language here, people poop on Jacksonville a lot. And I like as a city, I like Jacksonville. And I think the Jags need that kind of, hey, like Fred Taylor speaks so highly of the Jags and of Jacksonville. So that's why I said even bring in him as well, whatever that role is. I think really kind of pump up that city and pump up that football team because I think they need it.
Well, when I think about the first name that comes to mind would be Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah.
But then I think about what Byron Leftwich has done and how much better he's gotten as a coordinator, right? And how much he could help Trevor Lawrence develop. Because you and I have had this conversation in the past, Tom. The problem that we've had with a lot of these young quarterbacks is their tutelage and how they've been ruined. And I think that Byron Leftwich could really help Trevor Lawrence become the quarterback that they thought he could be. Now, I can appreciate Eric Bieniemy being a running back, and he would be definitely geared toward offense more. But I think that Byron Leftwich, with him coaching Tom Brady and him being at the helm, let's take Kellen Moore off the table. I am not interested.
No, I think that's a bad fit.
I am not interested in Kellen Moore being a head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If I'm thinking about a guy who I think could help them right now, it would absolutely be Byron Leftwich.
Yeah. And I think, listen, Leftwich also realizes, he's got Tom Brady for 2 seasons. And guess what? They know we need Fournette to run the ball for him to be even more successful. And they've got an undrafted, surprisingly really good running back in James Robinson. I think he utilizes him more too.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to put that out there.
Sure.
A divisional game, another one, Giants and Eagles. Eagles are looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think that the Eagles handle them, and I think they keep their playoff hopes alive this week. Justin Hurts, he's due for a good game. He hasn't been very good over the last couple of weeks. I think he's due for a good game.
I'm fighting with myself because I had the Eagles down. I crossed it off, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to stick with the Eagles. I have a feeling this is one of those divisional games though that's going to be it's going to be weird, right? But I'll stick with the Eagles. Bucks and Panthers.
I think the Tampa handles them. I think they bounce back this week, and with having Godwin out and getting Antonio Brown back in the lineup, which I'm not a huge AB fan, but I can't deny his talent. Him and Mike Evans and Gronk, because I think Leonard Fournette is out until the playoffs.
Right.
So, but I think that they overcome their injuries because of how bad Cam has been. So yeah. I think that they handle it. I think that they handle Carolina this week.
Yeah, Carolina, losers, I think 4 in a row. This probably make it 5. I'm going with Tampa Bay bouncing back as well. The Chargers and the Texans. If they don't look past the Texans, this should be a big win for the Chargers. Do you think they get complacent?
I don't think that they look past them, considering what happened last week. I think that a lot of that had a lot to do with coaching and the decisions that they were making. I don't think it was how Herbert looked really good. That offense looked really good. I just think that the decision making in the red zone just needed to be cleaned up. And I think that they handle Houston this weekend, no doubt.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that one. The Steelers, the Chiefs.
Kansas City's been on a roll, Tone. Kansas City's been on a roll. I see what Pittsburgh has been doing, and they're basically they're like Mr. Potato Head with Ben Roethlisberger. They're like putting pieces back on him because he's just falling apart, and they're just doing everything they can to hold him up. But I think Kansas City handles them this weekend.
I don't know why. There's really no reason for what I'm about to say. I think Pittsburgh wins this game. Even with Ben Roethlisberger's arm, duct taped onto his shoulder, I feel like I don't know. There's just I keep wanting to pick the Chiefs, and something's like, no, pick the okay. It might be crazy. I'm going with the Steelers in Kansas City. Like, it makes no sense why I'm doing it, but there you go. The Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas. That's still hard for me to say. Raiders in Las Vegas. Both teams 7-7.
Even though I still have an orange crush, Tone, I like what they're doing in Vegas. And I think that they handle Denver. Yes, I do. Yes, sir. I think they handle.
Here I was all ready to say I'm with you.
Nope. I think they handle.
Let's go orange.
Yes.
No. Liz, I was just talking to a friend of mine in Denver, and he said there's hope in Denver. There's hope in Denver. He's very excited about this team, so I'm going to go with the Broncos. Washington and the Cowboys. Washington, another team now, lost a couple in a row. We thought they were going to have a nice shot at the playoffs. Injuries, of course, some other things. Cowboys overcome, or can Washington win with all that?
I think that the Cowboys overcome. I'm looking at that defense, and I don't think that there's anything that Washington can do offensively to combat that. And I think that that's going to be the difference in the game. As long as Dak can just, if they would run the football more, run the football more, that would be great. But I think. Can
you tell me more about that? I think it's the first time we've talked about that.
Tony, makes me nuts.
All right, so Dallas needs to run the ball more, and we're both on Dallas. I'm on Dallas as well to beat Washington. And then our Monday nighter, it's Tua time. Man, Tua.
Well, it's
Tua, the Dolphins and the Saints, they're in the hunt.
Yes,
they're both in the hunt for a playoff spot.
Yes, they are. And I'm looking at what Miami has been doing, man. I'm looking at what Tua looks like. He's just getting more and more comfortable, and that defense in Miami is just coming together. So if they can, if Miami can handle the run, I think they got a good shot to win this game.
But you got to make a pick. A good shot. Who you taking?
Miami.
I'm taking Miami too. And with the Buffalo Bills loss to the Patriots, they're right in that wild card. They're right in that wild card conversation. All right. So that's it for this week. Fluent Chill NFL edition. Remember to like, subscribe. Oh, it's this way. I always point this way, but it's that way. I know it's right there. It's right there. Subscribe. Send your comments. Don't forget, starting next week, I'm compiling the list. We're gonna start mail time. Did I get it right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I say it right? I said it right. Can you say it one? Can you say it one time?
Mail time.
Mail time. I love that. All right, so that's it for this week. Fluent Chill. Until next week.
Take it light, but take it.